Thank you so much for being here, man.
Great to be here.
I really appreciate it. Okay, I need you to explain something to me.
Yeah.
How did you infiltrate a doomsday sex cult?
Yeah, I went there. So I got the tip that there was the Fellowship of Friends was this group that they had a apocalypse prediction coming up.
Okay. And briefly, sorry, right before you jump into that, could you just explain a little bit kind of who you are and what kind of work that you do?
Yeah. I'm an investigative journalist. I do podcasts and documentaries now. I report on all sorts of weird things. The thing that people seem to enjoy the most is reporting on like spiritual abuse and so-called cults and spiritual organizations. So I've done a fair amount of like reporting on alleged cult leaders or spiritual leaders. I'm not even that into cults. I keep getting pulled in. Cults have a way of pulling you into these, you know. But yeah, I really started a few years ago. I was looking into this guru Teal Swan. And I was reporting at Gizmodo, which, you know, is like doing like tech and internet culture writing. And I was I was also reporting on like the dark corners of the internet and like conspiracy theories and right-wing extremism. And this was like leading up to the 2016 election. So I was reporting on just like sanctioned suicide forums and political crazy shit, like all kind of stuff. And just YouTube, like the algorithm knew I was like into some pretty weird shit. I mean, it was like kind of journalistic curiosity. It was for work, but I'm sure I like fit the online profile of somebody who like was maybe having suicidal thoughts and like into conspiracy theories. So my YouTube recommendation, this was before it kind of came out that like YouTube was like drawing people more into extremism, but my YouTube recommendations were like insane. And one of them was Teal Swan, who she was doing videos about like suicide and she was accused of kind of starting this online cult.
Teal is really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to talk about her after, but I see how the pathway kind of opened up through digital discourse.
Yeah.
So you cover Teal, who we're going to talk about in a second.
Sure.
But then you get this tip about this cult out west that has this apocalypse coming up.
Right.
And that's obviously pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought, when am I going to get the chance to witness a doomsday prediction or to like be with a group and see them as they're like leading up, preparing for an apocalypse. Like you don't get that opportunity every day.
Right. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because I'm coming on the road. That's right. Pottstown, PA, Friday, November 8th, 2024. I'll be at Soul Joel's. You can come see me do 1 hour of stand-up comedy, nothing more and nothing less. It's going to be an amazing time. And if you're not near Pottstown, don't worry, because I'm coming to Stamford, Connecticut. I'm going to New York Comedy Club. That's right. They have a bunch of amazing clubs in the city, and also an amazing one in Stamford, Connecticut, November 13th. If you want to come hang out, come hang with me, say what's up. I'll be talking to everybody after the show. We'll be doing an hour of comedy, guys. Stand-up comedy. It's my passion. It's what I love to do when I'm not inside this tent. So come kick it with me. Bunch of crazy stories. We'll have a great time. You can find the link at my Instagram. Get it in the story. I'll put it in the description. I can't wait to see you guys there. Let's get back to the show.
So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I've done some reporting on like spirituality. Also, their thing is that like the Fellowship of Friends, they believe that in order to achieve higher consciousness, you need to surround yourself with the finest things in life. So they have an amazing vineyard. Like they were pioneers of natural wine, and their wine is amazing. And they bring in opera and ballet, and they have 44 angels that oversee them, and it's Shakespeare, Rembrandt, Bach, Da Vinci. Sounds great.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I kind of told them like I worked at Wine Spectator and Esquire, and also have done like spirituality stuff. So I kind of presented all that, and I was like, I'm curious about what you have going on. They invited me out, and then they kind of looked me up, and they're like, we're not sure if we really want to bring you into our compound. But I told them I'm still curious. I'm coming out, and I could talk to ex-members who, have an axe to grind and are understandably upset. Or you could kind of give me a window into the world and to see what what value this is bringing to the group. And I'm genuinely curious. And I mean, I was reading their books that the religion is based on. And so I really wanted to understand what they were about. So I think they kind of responded to that. Mm-hmm. We started with a wine tour. They have a vineyard. They do, I don't know about now after the podcast came out, but you could do vineyard winery tours then.
Now, could you just explain to me what makes something a cult, right? Because like you're describing this group, you hear that they have a doomsday prediction. Okay, that sounds kind of culty. But when people hear cult, they think 8 people in a basement with hoods and, candles. They think eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
So why is this a cult? And, what kind of behaviors from the outside before you actually got in where you tipped you off like, oh, this is something different about this. This is not like a membership club or something.
Well, I'm very careful with that word because it sounds like a judgment call. If you call something a cult, it feels like it's, it's a loaded word.
Right.
And I mean, cults historically weren't really seen as a bad thing. It wasn't until like Jim Jones and Charles Manson that it was a loaded word. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of religions start as cults. And then it's kind of like after it evolves into, there's different definitions. But I kind of say after the leader dies, and if it lives on past the leader, then that's kind of when it really becomes an established religion. Mm-hmm. But yeah, with this one, it's been around since the Fellowship of Friends has been around since the 1970 was when it was founded.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of reporting early on that called it a cult. Cult experts have called it that. They've used their own kind of, I'm not a cult expert. Like there are people, in psychology who've worked like with deprogramming who feel qualified to call it that. But so that term's been used a lot. A lot of ex-members call it a cult. So, and I think an ex-member or current member once joked to me that they put the cult in culture because they're a high society group. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a little more comfortable with people calling it that. But a lot of these newer groups, I'm a little more cautious about. But yeah, it's and especially when they've had many doomsday predictions. So it's been labeled a doomsday cult.
And they have a PR person, like you can just email them? Like how does that work?
They have like a president who runs the business side who also like operates or oversees the winery.
Got it.
So yeah, I reached out to that person.
And they were sort of hesitant, but then eventually they were cool with it.
Yeah.
And then you packed your bags. What do you pack to go live with a cult?
There was a lot of recording equipment because I want to do start with a podcast. Right. Notebooks. I had a lot of, because I want to like fit in just so that people are comfortable. And it's like any kind of culture that you're sort of experiencing, like you want to fit in and not like stand out and also be respectful. They all dress very nice. So I packed nicer clothes than I usually wear.
And prior to landing there, were you concerned? Did you tell anyone that you were going, and were they concerned for you?
Yeah, a lot of people were really worried. And I was worried, but my curiosity gets the best of me. And I was, once I got there, there's no cell service, and it's like tall trees, and it felt very like Twin Peaks. Like I felt like Dale Cooper, Agent Cooper going into Twin Peaks, and it was very eerie.
And which area of California is this?
It's kind of outside of Sacramento and kind of the foothills.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like 2 hours outside of Sacramento.
And had the organization, we'll call it, prior to you going, had any like shady disappearances of members or had any like misconduct that had been rumored?
Yeah, there'd been reporting in like the 90s. That was kind of their peak, and there'd been some ex-members who had claimed that the leader had sexually abused them when they were young or underage, like 17. Mm-hmm. So there'd been reporting, but it'd been decades since anything had come out. And what I'd sort of gathered was that it was still very much in full swing, and that it had actually gotten way more sophisticated as far as like bringing in new members and possible allegations of abuse.
Crazy. Okay, so you're packing your bags, you're putting on your favorite shirts, your best linens, packing them in the bag, flying to around Sacramento.
Yeah.
And then you get picked up at the airport. You just Uber to this cult.
Yeah, I just got a rental and drove out there. I flew into San Francisco and drove out there, and I had gotten an Airbnb, and I kind of gauged that the owner of the home was a member, And turns out like all of the Airbnbs in this town are run by members because
wow.
they've taken over the entire town. So the whole town, that's also kind of adds to this sort of David Lynch vibe is everybody there dresses different and acts kind of like they kind of have their own sort of mannerisms and stuff. It's also known for a lot of like meth labs and weed farms. So you kind of get the sense like there's one grocery store in the town and like one little restaurant, and people are either like of the fellowship or they're just kind of there because they're farmers or whatever.
And they can tell exactly who's who.
Yeah, because I mean they're wearing like a ball gown or they're dressed up because it's high society and it's out in the middle of nowhere.
So people are in the sticks but dressed to the nines.
Yeah, I mean not every day. I mean, but there's like a dress code, so it's like dressed very nice, like slacks and tucked in shirts.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. So you get there, it feels very eerie. You're like, how is this?
And there was no ripcord. Like there was no like, oh, if this goes bad, like maybe you can run away and like drive off, but.
Yeah, but I mean, when I finally got into the compound, there was, you have to go through a security guard and all that. So I'd spent days in the compound. I didn't sleep there because only the leader is really allowed to sleep there and a few members. But the whole town around it is other members who've kind of like built their homes around the compound. And the town is kind of basically like a larger extension of the compound. But it's in the middle of nowhere virtually.
So if they wanted to disappear you, it wouldn't be that hard. There
were moments because I visited them on and off for like 3 years. And there were moments where I was like, this is how I die. Because I was like, no cell service, it's late at night. Somebody like takes I would have like a tour guide sometimes, or sometimes I'd be kind of off on my own because they would do Shakespeare performances or so I'd be at a show and I'd kind of be walking to my car. And but a lot of times I had a guide and he would go off and take a call and act real shady. And I'm like, this is how I get disappeared.